Coming up on Good Morning Indian Country, Haskell Winds basketball is gearing up for their season with a new sense of resilience and commitment after last year's conference championship and temporary termination and return of their head coach, Adam Strom.
And a new federal education grant will cover tuition and fees for college students who plan to teach in Native schools.
Representative Sharice Davids comments on possible gerrymandering in Kansas and its effect on Indian country. Those stories and more just ahead. Stay with us.
Welcome to Good Morning Indian Country and Happy Halloween. I'm Shia Blackcloud.
And I'm Allison Levering. We're coming to you live from our studio inside of Stauffer Flint Hall at the University of Kansas.
Haskell Indian Nations University and the University of Kansas have formed a joint committee that will serve both communities through collaborative initiatives. The committee is led by 5 administrators and representatives from both universities and has officially started gathering regular meetings. The first step is for the committee to collect and analyze responses about the current programs and enterprises. They encourage all faculty, staff, and stakeholders to participate in the survey.
A new initiative from KU and Haskell is going to support Indigenous schools by paying tuition and fees of future educators. Emma Coffey has more.
The University of Kansas and Haskell Indian Nations University have received a $1.5 million federal grant to launch the Southern Plains American Indian Teaching Pathways Project, a 5-year program that recruits and trains students to teach in schools serving Native communities.
It's important because we, as an institution, our goal is to provide to provide an education, a higher education for Native American students. The goal is always to go back and is nation building, so you have an educated people that's going to be more prosperous.
The program has partnered with faculty at KU, Haskell, and multiple tribes across Kansas, Oklahoma, and Nebraska. Selected students will receive full tuition, technology, books, and housing support as they work to complete their degrees.
And what we're really trying to do is create a bridge between the two universities so that Indigenous students can access all of the resources that they need to become certified teachers, and so that they can go back into their communities and they can teach in their communities.
After they complete the program, participants will teach in Native serving schools, where they will also receive early career mentorship from educators and cultural leaders.
This opportunity would be able to take those folks and get them into the education arena, creating curriculum, but also understanding that they're going to be teaching language and tradition, but they'll learn that art of teaching with that.
The National Indian Education Association met a few weeks ago to discuss Native education, past, present, and future. Jacob Johnson has more.
Association hosted its 56th annual convention and trade show in Spokane, Washington, drawing thousands of Native educators, students, tribal leaders, and advocates from across the nation. This year's theme, Empowering Sovereignty, Our Legacies, Our Futures, invited participants to reflect on where Native education has been to envision where it's headed, grounded in strength, culture, language, and community.
I am having a wonderful time, and I appreciate our partners, Tribal Education Department National Assembly, for assisting us in and supporting us in attending this conference. And I am really enjoying my time here, attending the workshops, gaining knowledge about new policies, new legislations, that are coming into play, and how we can utilize that and learn about that to better serve our Indigenous relatives and help us along in our pathways. I'm loving all the vendors here. Absolutely love all the jewelry, even though I don't need no more jewelry.
The Tribal Education Department National Assembly is a nonprofit organization dedicated to supporting tribal education departments, providing resources, technical assistance, and networking opportunities to strengthen educational sovereignty. And ahead of the main event, TEDNA had a pre-conference session to kick off this week's activities. As a part of this year's pre-conference, the University of Kansas hosted a TED capacity building project that brought together tribal educators, mentors, and students from across the country. Workshops focused on key topics such as data sovereignty, community-driven education, and strategies to support tribal leaders and advocates in advancing Native education.
What brought me to NIEA, this is my first time presenting. So myself and my colleague were presenting a presentation on vocal empowerment for Student Day today. So everything went well, and we understand the importance of using our voice to not only share our personal message, but also to how can we advocate for our families. And we just came across a lot of young champions today, but also to their mentors that brought them here too. So we're leaving with full hearts.
The 2025 NIEA convention highlighted the ongoing commitment to uplifting Indigenous voices, honoring legacies, and shaping educational futures. Through the power of sovereignty and self-determination, NIEA will be held next year in Buffalo, New York. Now, over to you, Allison.
It seems to have been a little chilly lately. Let's see what Emma Coffey has to say about that. Emma?
Yeah, well, over the last couple days, we've seen that our fall temperatures are here, and it looks like they're here to stay. Talking specifically about this past week into next weekend, over the course of this week, we've seen our temperatures sitting at around the mid to high 50s, but over the weekend, those temperatures are going to rise, and we are going to see a shift into our mid to high 60s. After Wednesday, that rain will have gone away for the most part, clear skies all the way until the end of next week. Taking a look at Wednesday's forecast, a high of 50, so a little bit of a drop from what we have been seeing. Lots of rain in the morning, a couple showers, stronger wind speeds throughout the day, capping off at 35 miles per hour, but more than likely sitting at around that 25 to 27 mile per hour range. Our hourly planner at 12 p.m., we're sitting at 48 degrees, nice and chilly. 2 p.m. we've risen just a little bit up to 49, and our high for the day is going to sit at around 5 p.m. at 50 degrees. By the evening, we've dropped back down into our mid-40s at 46. Our wind speeds are also going to reflect those changes in temperature. 24 mile per hour wind speeds at 12 p.m., dropping a little bit down to 22 miles per hour by 2 p.m., and by 8 p.m., we've dropped all the way back down into the single digits at 8 miles per hour. Wednesday night's forecast, those 60-degree lows at night are no longer here. Our low for Wednesday night is all the way down to 35 degrees. Minimal clouds throughout the night as those clouds are going to start to dissipate and make their way out of Lawrence as we can expect more sunshine and more partly cloudy skies throughout the week. Lighter wind speeds dropping down to between 10 and 15 miles per hour, but still going to remain pretty consistent at those 12 mile per hour ranges. Thursday's forecast, a big rise in temperature all the way up to 58 degrees. Like we said, partly cloudy skies are going to start to make their way through Lawrence. Lower wind speeds as well, dropping now to between 5 and 10 miles per hour. Here in a little bit, we'll talk about our forecast for Halloween and a hurricane that just touched base in Jamaica. Stay tuned.
Thanks, Emma. After the break, GMIC shares details about Kansas redistricting, the Not in Our Honor protest, and more.
Good Morning Indian Country is supported by Press Forward, the nationwide initiative strengthening communities through local news.
Kansas lawmakers have approved $400,000 for a special session to discuss redrawing congressional boundaries, just 3 years after the last redistricting cycle. GMIC's Jaden Hill sat down with Representative Sharice Davids to learn more.
Thanks. Kansas lawmakers have approved a special session to discuss redrawing congressional boundaries, just 3 years after the last redistricting cycle. The move has sparked scrutiny from many Kansans with concerns about representation. To understand how this could affect tribal communities, I spoke with Representative Sharice Davids of the 3rd Congressional District, who has been outspoken about the risks to Native voters and tribal sovereignty.
Voters should be choosing their representatives and not the other way around. And that, you know, if you look at the state of Kansas, 3 years ago, the Kansas legislature already redistricted during the normal redistricting process, and they gerrymandered the maps.
Beyond the accused gerrymandering, during the last redistricting process, Kansas lawmakers originally split a tribal reservation. David says even if it was inadvertent, it tells a broader story about the historic lack of representation for Native voters.
When we think about the impacts of voting rights on Indian country, we're only just now have hit the 100-year mark of Native Americans even being considered citizens. And it was in the late 60s when finally across the entire country, Native people were guaranteed the right to get registered, cast their ballot, and have their ballot counted.
Transparency has also emerged as a concern, and legislators have not released proposed maps or disclosed how things might affect communities, including tribal nations.
In addition to it being a pure political power grab, it's happening behind closed doors. So, we have folks who are duly elected representatives in the state of Kansas who are saying they think this is a good idea, but not sharing any of the details.
For Kansas's tribal nations, the stakes in redistricting go far beyond lines on a map, and many communities anxiously await the decisions from the redistricting session. Stay tuned for more Indian Country content.
Good Morning Indian Country's Caden Baird gives us a look at a group that, win or lose, will not be cheering for the Chiefs on any given Sunday.
It doesn't honor our people having the stereotype that they do with the drum and the chant.
That exact sentiment is what inspired Rhonda Lavaldo and others 25 years ago to create Not in Our Honor, an organization that protests the use of Native American symbolism and stereotypes in sports and media, especially those used by the Kansas City Chiefs.
When you're creating a climate where wearing a headdress feels like fandom, then you're creating the wrong climate to be honoring Native Americans.
Starting locally in 2005, the organization now partners with other protest groups around the United States in hopes of eliminating harmful indigenous symbolism in sports entirely.
We've worked with other organizations across the nation when we protest at Super Bowls and that sort of thing, when we were in Phoenix, when we were in Las Vegas.
They actually want to have protests at their stadiums when Kansas City plays them.
Despite making changes to certain Chiefs game day customs, such as the removal of war paint as a mascot or the banning of fan-worn indigenous attire in the stadium, Not in Our Honor believes it's more window dressing than actual improvement.
Really, I think it's kind of laughable to dial back their most blatant racism to appease people and make it give the appearance of change.
Regardless of the group's efforts, the Chiefs' ownership has been unresponsive to their demands or even a conversation.
They don't listen to us. They won't entertain us.
For Good Morning Indian Country, Caden Baird.
Thanks, Caden. For those interested in participating in the next protest, the group will be meeting outside of Arrowhead Stadium's Gate A at 10 o'clock on November 23rd.
Up next, Emma Coffey has our national weather forecast for the upcoming week. Emma, how's it looking?
Well, Tuesday afternoon, Hurricane Melissa hit the southwestern coast of Jamaica. Currently, it's leaving behind life-threatening flooding, destructive wind speeds, heavy rain, and storm surges. Hurricane Melissa originally made landfall as a Category 5 hurricane with wind speeds peaking at 185 miles per hour. Since then, it has downgraded to currently being a Category 4 hurricane, and as it starts to make its way out of the Jamaica area, will drop down to a Category 2 hurricane by Thursday morning, hopefully not leaving behind too much damages for those affected areas. Switching gears now to our Lawrence weather. Friday, October 31st is Halloween, and it looks like we're going to have a pretty warm Halloween. High of 59 degrees, mostly sunny skies. As we said earlier, those clouds are slowly starting to make their way out of the Lawrence area. Some clouds are staying behind, mostly in those late afternoon time frames. Lower wind speeds, again, averaging between 10 and 15 miles per hour. Now our hourly planner for Halloween. 10 a.m. sunny skies, 42 degrees, still pretty chilly, but by 2 p.m. we've risen all the way to around 60 degrees. Those clouds are going to start to pop out just a little bit more and stick around for the rest of the day as we drop down to 54 degrees at 6 p.m. all the way down to 48 at 10 p.m. So overall, not too bad for anybody looking to go party on Halloween. Taking a look now at our weekly forecast, like we said, 50 degrees on Wednesday is going to be our low for the week, rising all the way back up to 59 degrees on Halloween. As we get over the weekend, a bit of a dip on Saturday for that KU football game, 52 degrees. But by next Monday and Tuesday, we've risen all the way back up to 65 degrees, and that's kind of where we're going to cap off for the next couple weeks. Also reflecting that are our changes in clouds. Wednesday, showers in the morning, followed by clouds later in the afternoon. Thursday is looking at partly cloudy skies before that sun starts to pop out just a little bit between Sunday and next Tuesday. Well, that's all we have for weather this week. Back to you, Shai and Allison.
Thank you, Emma, for always keeping us up to date on everything weather.
Coming up next, we go in depth with Coach Strom to see the vision for the upcoming season and an update on volleyball before conference play and much more. See you after the break.
Thank you to the Henry Luce Foundation for their support of Good Morning Indian Country.
Welcome back to your roundup of sports all over Indian Country. I'm Millie Favela. It's been a while, so let's get you up to speed. Hoops and threes are finally back for the basketball teams over at Haskell Indian Nations University, and the Lady Indians welcomed a baller to this year's roster. In Ivy Fox's debut game with the Lady Indians, she put up 8 assists and 32 points to lead her team to victory against Peru State 74-69. Although the ladies lost to Loyola University 94-90, the 6-foot forward still put up 23 points, securing her title for the Continental Athletic Conference's Player of the Week. Not only did Fox stand out this past week, but last year's team got their time to shine as they received their 2025 CAC championship rings before the first game. GMIC's Jacob Johnson met with head coach Adam Strom to discuss the ring ceremony and the win against Peru State.
Yeah, it was a night filled with emotions. I mean, it's something that, the night began with kind of revisiting where we left off. And I think it took me a while to get in game mode. So if the guy leading the charge is kind of taking some time, then the players are going to follow, and that's kind of what we saw early on. But we had a lot of new faces, we had a lot of players, and intentionally, your playing time's earned in practice, and all 16 of the players earned their time.
The ladies will head out to St. Louis, Missouri to play in the Tip-Off Classic on Friday. GMIC's Caden Barrett sat down with Coach Strom to talk about what last year's temporary termination means for this season.
Last year's Haskell women's basketball season was a crash course on resilience. Symbolizing this perseverance was head coach Adam Strom, a perennial winner at Haskell who was terminated last year due to cuts made at the federal level. Despite being let go, Strom continued to coach as an unpaid volunteer through the playoffs on his way to a conference championship.
Without hesitation, when I was notified of the occurrence, I knew I wanted to complete my job, and that job was the head women's basketball coach for Haskell.
Him volunteer coaching was something that he was going to do regardless of pay or not. This is something he really enjoys to do, and serving Indian Country, I feel like, is his purpose.
Being terminated and still wanting to coach and wanting to still be here every day, that shows a lot as his character as a person.
The idea of losing their coach lit a fire among the players' hearts and minds.
The look in each one of the players' eyes, the determination in practice, the coachability, the keen focus
It was kind of scary, the alertness that they had and the focus that they had. He'd whistle and all eyes were on him.
Not only did Strom and company put a championship trophy in the cabinet, but the head coach was reinstated along with being awarded the Conference Coach of Character Award and a finalist for the national honor as well.
Being named the Champions of Character coach assured me that, you know, I am doing things the right way, and I try to conduct myself in a manner not only for myself, not for the team, the institution, but just the Native American population.
Despite adding 2 new trophies from last season, Coach Strom believes he's doing something more important than putting championship rings on fingers.
As much as I'm proud that we're going to put a ring on our finger opening night, I am equally or more proud of the fact that I think 17 out of 18 seniors, or 16 out of 17 seniors have completed their bachelor's degree since I've been here.
The success of the Haskell women's team isn't one of chance or merely superior coaching, but can be attributed to teaching, listening, and simply caring.
I've never seen in any collegiate program a coach care so much as Strom does. He genuinely cares, and that means a lot, especially to Native girls. You know, having somebody care for them, not just on the court, but off the court, you know, making sure they succeed in and out of the classroom, and that's just really important to me.
Like any good coach, Strom imparts to his players and staff the confidence to fight for what they deserve on and off the court.
He knows, you know, we're not just a group of Native Americans, but we're a pretty talented college team, and he wants to go out and play against the best and show that we can be amongst that conversation.
Doing what he loves, Coach Strom is right at home on the hardwood.
You know, they say some people get to go to work, you know, I get to coach, and that's the passion I have for coaching.
For Good Morning Indian Country, Caden Baird.
The men's team at Haskell has also begun its season and currently sits 0-2. The team fell to Bellevue University 93-63 on Friday and Central Methodist University 96-68 on Saturday. The Fighting Indians will hit the road to Atchison, Kansas and face Benedictine College at 7 on Thursday night. The last time we heard from the volleyball team over at Haskell, the ladies were 6-20 and headed into the CAC Classic. The ladies went 1-3 in the Classic and picked up 4 more losses following the 3-day tournament. The Lady Indians are now 7-29 and 2-3 in conference play. The team has 2 more games to break its 4-game losing streak before heading to the CAC Championship. The men's cross-country team at Haskell laced up their running shoes and hosted the Billy Mills Cross Country Classic 2 weeks ago. Haskell's very own Javen Hale ran off with the gold medal in the 8K race with roughly 23 minutes and 10 seconds. On the topic of races, one cross-country team at a public tribal land-grant college prevailed this weekend. Dene College took first in Colorado Mountains College's Invitational this past weekend. All 4 runners placed 2nd through 5th, securing the team's victory in the race. That's all the sports I have for you this week, but make sure to stay tuned after the break for a roundup of local sports.
Good Morning Indian Country is supported by the University of Kansas William Allen White School of Journalism and Mass Communications.
Welcome back. The Prairie Band Potawatomi Nation will host a community harvest feast with traditional dishes with food grown from the reservation and an opportunity to learn more about Prairie Band Potawatomi Nation's food sovereignty initiatives and the food adaptation plan. This will take place on Thursday, October 30th from 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. at the old bingo hall. Community members are encouraged to bring a dish. Contact Melinda for more info at 785-966-4044.
Haskell's College of Humanities and the Arts is hosting a write-in event on Wednesday, October 29th at Ross Hall. Go enjoy some free food and tutoring and an assortment of spooky events including movies, games, art, mosaic making, and a performance by the Haskell Choir.
Also this week, there will be a 3K walk/run hosted by 155 Indian Run Club and Haskell Brave. This event will take place October 30th at 6:15 p.m. on the Haskell Cross Country course. Costumes are welcome, and there will be also prizes for overall female and male winners.
Coming up this Wednesday, October 29th, the Haskell community invites you to sing and sway the Blackfeet Way. It's a social round dance happening live from 7 to 10 p.m. at the Coffin Sports Complex on Haskell campus. Join Rickson Bullcalf and company for an evening of song, dance, and good vibes, celebrating the spirit of the Blackfeet Nation, right here in Lawrence, Kansas. Rickson is the current reigning Haskell Brave and an advocate for mental health across campus. He hopes this event will bring the people together in a good way during this lonesome time of the semester. His words to the people are, "You are not alone. Don't be afraid to ask for help, and everything happens for a reason." Safe travels to everyone coming in from across the country. It's going to be a good one. And thank you for watching this episode of Good Morning Indian Country. Another thank you to Press Forward, the Henry Luce Foundation, and the William Allen White School of Journalism for their support of our work.
And as always, don't forget to follow us on social media on Facebook and Instagram at Good Morning Indian Country. And stay spooky, Indian Country, and we will see you next week.